Yo guys, what is going on? It's Lukey here and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be running through the top 10 close range meta loadouts in Warzone/Rebirth. Most of these classes are pretty much made for Rebirth because that's mainly what I play at the moment, but you can also use these on normal Verdansk if you want to. Let's get into it, subscribe for more, turn those notifications on, and let's get into the first one, which is the Cold War AK. The Cold War AK, in my opinion, is definitely one of the most well-rounded assault rifles for long range, medium range, close range, but this close range build absolutely shreds. It actually has one of the fastest time to kills compared to pretty much most assault rifles and SMGs at close range. It is a very powerful weapon and this build is literally perfect for close range, and I love partnering this with a sniper. The next one on the list is going to be the close range XM4, a pretty similar loadout, but this one has a little bit more mobility. The XM4 does have a little bit more recoil than you're probably used to with an assault rifle, but this build makes up for it. Some of the attachments are obviously well rounded, so we've got some mobility attachments, we have some attachments that is going to increase the accuracy, so we've got the barrel, we've got the underbarrel, and the micro reflex sight is going to definitely help you with this weapon and controlling the recoil, because it does have a fair bit of recoil, but yeah, these are the attachments you guys are going to want to use on this class. If you want a little bit more mobility as well, you can also put the speed grip on instead of the field agent grip, or sometimes I like to go ahead and actually take off the microflex LED and put on the radar stock instead, but that is up to you. The iron sights are a little bit ugly, so if you don't mind using the iron sights, you can actually make this a lot faster and you can actually stick on the radar stock instead of the microflex LED, but that's just up to personal preference, so have a little play around with that and see how you feel. Next up, we have the Modern Warfare MP5, definitely one of the top close range class setups you can use, and this has literally been around for the longest time. This is one of those weapons that have always been used in Warzone. A lot of weapons, you know, have good times and then they get nerfed and then they don't get used, but this one has been around for so long and it's still definitely one of the top SMGs you can be using. It has one of the fastest time to kills out of all the SMGs as well, and it's also one of the most accurate hipfire builds in the entire game, so this is literally perfect if you guys are a nice rushy player, and it's really good for Rebirth as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to the next one, which is the Bullfrog. Every time I make a video on this, I always say this is an underrated build, and it's such an underrated build in my opinion. I don't really see that many people using the Bullfrog, or at least not as much as it should be being used. This is insane. It has one of the fastest mobilities in the game, really little recoil, really nice iron sights, and it's got 65 bullets in a magazine, so you guys can literally just clear out a whole entire squad without even reloading. Definitely try out the Bullfrog if you guys haven't yet. 65 rounds is just so good on an SMG, and it doesn't even decrease the mobility, so why the hell not use 65 mags? Next up, we have the Streetsweeper, which in my opinion is definitely one of the best shotguns you can be using. A lot of people like the Jak-12 as well, which is also good. There's a couple of good options at the moment, but for me, the Streetsweeper is definitely one of my favorite class setups to be using in the game. It's got really good mobility. The hipfire spread on this is incredibly accurate, and it has 18 rounds, which is just insane. 18 bullets in one magazine. You guys can literally clear out a whole entire squad with one magazine. It does have a pretty slow reload time, which is the only thing I don't like, but if we can get around that, it is a very good weapon. Only if there was a sleight of hand perk, this weapon would be incredibly good. It still is good, but it would just be that little bit better with sleight of hand. Next up anyway, we have the OTS-9. It did receive a little bit of a nerf in the most recent updates to its damage. You know, it's a little bit weaker at ranges, etc, or it's a little bit weaker whenever you hit the body, but it still is definitely one of the top SMGs you can be using. Despite all the nerfs, you know, this thing is definitely still up there. I've been using it a ton lately, and it's probably one of my favourite SMGs still. It still has one of the fastest time to kills out of most SMGs as well, and a lot of people have stopped using it just because they saw it got a little tiny nerf. And that seems to be the case like all the time. Whenever people see a weapon get a nerf, they just stop using it, but if you try it out, it's pretty much the exact same still. It's a tiny bit weaker, but it's still definitely top tier SMGs right now. Next up, we have the MAC-10, which is also one of my favourite SMGs. I have loved using the MAC-10 for the longest time. This thing is literally so good. It is a little bit weaker than a lot of other SMGs, and it doesn't have one of the fastest time to kills in the game, but the mobility makes up for it. It's one of the fastest weapons in the entire game, so it's definitely still a top tier weapon. If you are a rushy player and you like to push people, you like to push buildings, then this is definitely one of the SMGs you should be using, because it literally is one of the fastest weapons in the game. Anyway, the next weapon is actually a Modern Warfare weapon, which is very strange, but this is the Modern Warfare MP7. We don't really see that many Modern Warfare weapons in these top 10 videos anymore, because the game is kind of, you know, going towards all the Cold War weapons at the moment. They're a lot more powerful, but this is one of the Modern Warfare SMGs that is still definitely a very usable weapon. This is actually specifically built as a hipfire class as well, because it has one of the most accurate hipfire accuracies in the game for all SMGs. Anyway, I definitely recommend using it. It's a lot of fun, especially on Rebirth. Next up, we have the Cold War MP5, another Cold War SMG. Yes, most weapons in this video, like I said, are going to be Cold War weapons, but this class setup here, I've been having a lot of fun with it lately. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's the #1 or #2 fastest time to kill Cold War SMG in the game at the moment. I might be wrong there, because there has been a lot of changes, but the last time I checked, it was actually, I think it's #2 in the fastest time to kill SMGs in the game at the moment, so this is definitely worth a shot using if you want to have a fast killing weapon. Anyway, next up is going to be the LC-10. This is actually one of the lowest recoil SMGs in the game. It's really good if you partner it with a sniper, because it's basically like a mini AR, so it's really good at actually all ranges. It's actually kind of like an AR. Whenever I use this, I use it at medium and short ranges, and then I partner it with a sniper because the sniper's got me at long ranges. But this weapon is literally so good, and it literally acts like it is a assault rifle. But even though it acts like an assault rifle, I still thought I'd put it in the top 10 close range class setups, because it still is definitely one of the best close range weapons. It still shreds at close range, and it's got great mobility, great accuracy, and it's all round a great SMG. But yeah, that's it for the video. Make sure to follow for more, subscribe for more, leave a like, turn those notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.